Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, I talk about success a lot on this podcast, if you haven't noticed already. And it's because it tends to be the thing that we gravitate towards, right? I just want to be successful. I just want to, it's kind of that ultimate goal, right? And I talk about this quite frequently, that you need to actually define what success means to you, not what it means to somebody else, right? This is living for yourself, not your expectation, not someone else's expectations. So once you have defined what success means to you, then it's much easier for you to actually create it. Because the truth is, if you don't know what success means, then you're going to constantly chase it and never feel successful, right? And success follows success. And so even before all of that, I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about the sales conversation that I have with people, and it reminded me that it was actually yesterday when I was running. Success leaves clues for you. So does failure, right? So failure and success are not these single solitary moments, but there are processes and systems that lead up to either of these, right? And so oftentimes failure will lead to success more often than not, right? You found a way that worked and it didn't work, and you've, looked at it differently and reevaluated, and you're like, okay, let's try it this way now, right? But success absolutely leaves clues. And I was thinking about this yesterday when I was running, because there are times during the day, throughout the week, right, whatever, where I'm like, oh, I feel like such a failure. Nobody's right. And I start to doubt myself. Happens, right? And one thing that was coming through a couple of weeks ago, and for whatever reason I was resisting it coming through, was this idea that I wasn't having enough fun, right? I knew intuitively that I just needed to have more fun in my business, to be more joyful, to enjoy the process, but I found myself resisting it. And so I did what I typically don't do, where I where I went to I have some energy cards. And I already knew, before I even went through these cards, already knew what my soul wanted. But for whatever reason, again, I was resisting it. And as I was going through these cards, and one of the sequences for this creator cards, um, it kept coming up. Have more fun, bliss, joy, right? All these things. And yesterday when I was on my run, I was like, okay, so I'm looking at launching a new program for the first part of the year, and I'm really excited about this program. But I have these fears that are coming up about launching a program and it flopping, right? And so as I was running, I was trying to process this, and I kept hearing, have more fun, have more fun. And what I was reminded of, my very first sales job was in college. And I sold Cutco knives. Yes, those fabulous knives. I still love them to this day. I have my set because they're fabulous knives, right? That was my first sales job. And I remember my first month, I was like the top salesperson in the region, right? Whatever it was. And at the next conference, I accepted this award, and I had to give this little speech and this whole thing, right? And I was reflecting on my process during that. And this is an incredible lesson, and it's so beautiful that I just love it. So my energy absolutely impacted how these people purchased, whether or not these people purchased. And I wasn't aware that that's what it was at the time. But reflecting and looking back on it, it was so clear that when I was unattached and having fun, I had the best results. Now, what do I mean by that? Right? So this whole idea that success leaves clues, even when I was in my early 20s, because I did that, let's see, I think I did it just out of high school. So late teens, early 20s. And I was selling these expensive knives. Now, they are pricey, but they are an incredible investment. So I don't even want to say they're expensive. They are an investment, but they are awesome. And so I remember going to several of these appointments, and if I was in a mood, it was so apparent in my presentation. If I went into the presentation expecting these people to purchase, I was usually disappointed because it was my sales pitch was just different, right? But if I went into that presentation with no expectation of a sale, just to have fun, 9 times out of 10, if not 100%, because I don't remember all of them at that point, they purchased and they would spend a boatload of money. They'd get like the biggest set that you could. And as I was reflecting on this yesterday, it was like, and that one, 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 and that one. And it was just more and more proof of the success that I have in sales. There are two things. It is being unattached to the results, right? Doing it because I want to and because I love what I do, not for the money, and having fun with it, right? Like if I incorporate those two things into my launch, I am successful. It happens. And it happens so much easier than when I put pressure on myself and I'm like, oh, I have to make this amount of money this month and I've got to do this and I've got to do that, right? Like when I'm unattached to the results and I have fun, I sell so much easier. And I'm sure that's true across the board. Now, your version of fun may be different than mine, but I imagine that that's true. And the reason I say all of this is because, again, success is going to leave clues for you. Hey, this thing worked, that thing didn't. This thing worked, that thing didn't. And if you take the time to reflect on the times that you have been successful, you're going to see a whole lot of things that worked. And maybe a few things that didn't work, right? Think of Albert Einstein, right? How many times it's not Einstein. I forget. I'm totally lost now. I'm missing the story, right? Nevertheless, Walt Disney, right? How many times was he rejected before he succeeded? A whole lot. But he kept going, and he probably changed his sales pitch a little bit along the way, right? Edison, that's who it is. Thomas Edison and the light bulb, right? He failed at inventing the light bulb, I think 1,000 times or close to that. And then when he finally did get it, he had so many reiterations of what didn't work for a light bulb, right? And there's so many different ways in which doesn't work for our success, but we spend so much time looking at all the things that didn't work that we think it never works. But the truth is, you've been successful in at least some area of your life up to this point. If I had a conversation with you, I could probably pick up several things that you were successful at. And maybe you don't deem them successes, but that's a conversation for another day, right? But there are things that worked that helped you get that way, right? So for me, I know that in order for me to be successful, I have to have a plan. If I don't have a plan, then I might as well not even be trying to do something, right? Like I know that having the vision, where do I want to go? What is it that I want to achieve? Cool, got the vision. Okay, next step, put together a plan. I have to have a plan of what I'm doing in order to make that happen. And then the other side of that is I got to trust that I'm doing enough, right? And that is usually the thing that derails me, is if I feel like I'm not doing enough, I don't have the confidence in myself, then I will chip away at my own success. I'll actually create the failure that I don't want. And so knowing where I want to go, having that vision, having the plan, trusting and knowing that what I do is enough, and having the confidence in myself. I know that I can create anything. But where we fall short, right, is not paying attention to the things that worked. And this is where I talk about these. I learned this from my mentor. She's incredible. And she will look at things very objectively, and she'll say, okay, what worked? What didn't work? What can I do differently? Cool. That is life, right? That is how you grow and evolve through life. Reevaluating. What worked? What didn't work? What can I do differently? But your success is going to leave clues if you look for them. If you're looking for all the reasons that it won't work, you're going to get plenty of them. If you look for all the reasons that it will, you'll also get plenty of them. So what are you looking for? All the reasons you can be successful, or all the reasons you can't? So when it comes to creating success, letting success leave clues, it leaves clues anyways, whether you let it or not, right? But when it comes to creating success, again, you've got to know where you're going, what the vision is, and put together a plan. The plan is probably the easiest part. Consistency, you know how to be consistent. You just got to decide to be consistent at the thing that you want, right? This is not rocket science. Sorry, spoiler alert, right? It does not take rocket science to do it. It takes persistence. Persistence to be better and do better than you have in the past. And not everybody wants that, and that's okay. But if you're listening to this podcast, my guess is probably want that, right? And not because you're not enough right now, but because there's so much available to you. Why wouldn't you want to experience more? Right? So, success has left you clues. If you need help finding those clues, I'm happy to help, right? But it's left you clues along the way. And if you want to create more success, then you've got to look at what worked, what didn't work, and what you can do differently. And then utilize the things that worked. Show up as best as you possibly can. 100% you, right? There was this, I shared a clip from my last episode on TikTok. And if you listen to the last episode, there was a part of it where I faked cried. I was like, wah, right? And I shared that clip on TikTok, and someone immediately was like, I don't think people are gonna, it's gonna be difficult for you to get people on your side if you're doing this wah thing, right? And I responded and I was like, that's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, right? Like, I know that my coaching approach is different than other people's. Thus the podcast, Cutting Through the Bullshit, right? Like, I'm going to give you some tough love. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to move through some stuff. It's going to be epic. It's going to be incredible. You're going to come out on the other side. You might hate me for a little bit, right? You might want to flip me off and give me the bird. But it's all because when you show up in your power, you give other people permission to. And I don't mean show up in a powerful, arrogant kind of way. Just being you is going to activate somebody else. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? It's not your job for you to make sure that you're activating people so that they grow. That's their job. But you showing up and being the best version of you is the best thing that you can do for the world. So, I'm going to sign off there. I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And if you are interested in working with me in 2025, please reach out. My private spots are going to start to fill up very quickly. And then you'll just have a group program, which isn't going to be a bad thing, right? But if you do want to work with me privately, that is something that you will want to start to get into sooner rather than later. And I do have some spots available. I may open up some more. I do have a bunch of different hats wearing in 2025. So my private spots may actually be quite limited, and group programs may just have to happen. And that's okay too. So if you do want to work with me privately, because I haven't announced any groups yet, you definitely do want to reach out sooner rather than later. And it will be a brief conversation. I'll be very honest with you. Hey, I think we're a fit. Hey, I don't think we're a fit. Here's what we're going to work on. Here's what we're not going to work on. And again, I'll be very honest with you, and we'll have a great conversation. And if that's something that you're interested in, you can find me on Instagram at stephaniesnyderphd, or you can head over to my website, stephaniesnyderphd.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. And this episode is actually going live on Christmas, a couple days before Christmas Adam. So Merry Christmas Adam. Adam and Eve, right? Christmas Eve, Christmas Adam. That was something that I learned from friends in high school, so I love that. Kept it with me. So, Merry Christmas, Adam, and I hope that you have a beautiful holiday with your family, holiday season, right? Whatever it is that you're celebrating. And I will be back here after Christmas with some more fun conversations with you. So, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye!